Someone in the comments recommended a few videos for me to watch to get a better understanding of Gary Stevenson. I binge watched a few back to back because, to be honest, I was like really late to the party and until recently didn't even know he existed. When I saw him on Question Time, I was just like, wow, mine was blown. But anyway, I've always thought that there was much more to what happened when the markets were tanked recently, and this video really got my attention. The video is a couple of months old and it's Gary being interviewed on the new Statesman, and the main question was, are they stupid? Referring to Liz Truss, the then Prime Minister, and Kwasi Kwarteng, the then Chancellor. And what really struck me was that even Gary had no idea what they, Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, were thinking. What path was this really meant to take? And the choices were between pure stupidity and recklessness, or a cunning and dark, devious plan that kind of went wrong. Meaning, and this is my own fault, that Liz Truss in no way expected that her moves to grow the economy would end up making her the shortest ever Prime Minister in British history. Somehow, I don't think that was on the cards. But he made a few off-the-cuff remarks, and one of them was, or some other reason, as though maybe there was a plan to tank the market, and it was deliberate. But let me just be clear, this is not what he said, this is what I took from it. And I took it to mean that although there were circumstances that could lead to that conclusion, that they were meant to tank the market, like Liz being surrounded by the right-wing think tank Institute of Economic Affairs, the IEA, and Kwasi Kwarteng seen dining with the same people from the same think tank on many occasions, and logic, meaning nothing good ever came from upsetting the market stability, and that they all knew that Liz Truss announcing a mini budget was just to get around the scrutiny and government approval of the normal budget, but no one expected the 45 pence cut in the rate of income tax. There's all that and more, and that could lead you to thinking down that same route. But it's just easy to conclude that they were a pair of fucking idiots. Whether this is true or not, we will never know. But anyway, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can view the whole video clip if you want. Maybe you'll watch it and think, what the hell am I talking about? And you kind of need to stop taking the hard stuff. Or maybe you agree, and that there probably was much more to this, and that it probably will never see the light of day. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, it's my favourite pastime, reading what people say and what people recommend for me to watch. I do feel privileged. But anyway, take care. See you on the next video. Cheers. Bye.
Somebody sort of who's involved with the Labour Party said, like, let us know if anything happens with the markets today. And I said to them, listen, with the markets no more than they know it before we know it. Everything's going to be fine. Obviously, that was wrong. That one particular thing was wrong. The markets weren't expecting the 45% cut. That was the big shock, right? And what's quite interesting about that is the 45% cut. It's not a massive amount in terms of income loss for the government. But I think what it showed was basically a signal that the government does not have a cohesive plan to pay this money back. We exist in an economy where the rich are getting richer very, very quickly. And, you know, if the rich are getting richer and the rest of us are getting poorer, and then you start cutting the rich out of the tax system, you can see there's a lack of sustainability there, right? If we're going to give all of the wealth and all of the money to one group of people, and then we're going to stop taxing them, well, how do you intend to get your revenue, basically? So the markets looked at this and they just thought, like, here is a government that doesn't have a plan. And it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen, like, because it just was completely lacked cohesion as a strategy. And it was kind of hard to understand, what are they actually trying to do? And, you know, I was talking to traders and they were sort of saying, you know, Kwasi Kwarteng used to work in markets, and people were just like asking around, do you know anyone who knows him? Like, is he an idiot, basically? That was what people wanted to know. Is this guy an idiot? I never met the guy. I don't really know. But it was just, it does not lack, it lacks cohesion. If you cannot borrow money and immediately make it clear that you have no plan to pay it back. If you went to the bank and said, can I borrow a load of money? And they said, how are you going to pay it back? And you were like, well, there'll be some growth. We'll do some stuff and there'll be some growth. It would lend it to you, right? So
I called it vibes-based growth.
It was upsetting, and I think, some of us sort of sat from afar judging sort of Donald Trump and this kind of thing and this sort of madness that happened overseas. And we're not special, if you can have governments who are mad and who are incompetent, and we can have a question over whether it was incompetence and why they did it. And I think we can sit down and understand there are reasons behind it. But the fact is, like, the economics of it, nobody believes it. Nobody serious believes it. And I think it's something that, people like us should ask ourselves, people who sort of sit on the left of the political debate. How do we get ourselves in a situation where the government thought they could do this, and the people who actually stopped them from doing it were traders in Canary Wharf? We should have made it clear to everybody that is not a viable strategy, and the government should not have considered it to be a thing that the public would accept. So I think, to a degree, it's our fault for allowing these politicians and parts of the media to lie to the public. You cannot give everything to the rich and expect not to be poor.
It was quite surprised. I mean, you mentioned there that you were talking to traders. What was their reaction generally? Like, do you kind of know what was going on trading floors at the time?
So obviously I'm not on the trading floor anymore, but I do speak to a lot of traders. The people I spoke to, it was just, they were literally incredulous. They were like, what are these people doing? The economics of it I think I understand well and are not confusing. The thing that is most mysterious is the genuine question of why they did it. Why did you do this thing? And I think traders are asking the same thing. It sounds bad to say it, but these are the conversations we were having. Are these guys stupid, or are they like totally ideologically deranged? These are traders. These are not people who... These guys don't go into... These are not moral philosophers. These guys are interest rates traders, you know what I mean? And they're sitting there thinking, is this government, the UK, being run by people who are mad, basically?
Was there any celebration? I heard about, people kind of banging on their desks when he announced that tax cut. Like, but the people that I've spoken to were not particularly celebratory.
No, I mean, obviously, you can imagine that the traders who still talk to me and who I still talk to are perhaps a subset less likely to celebrate that kind of thing. But, the truth is, first of all, the bankers' bonus... the limitations on bankers' bonuses, it didn't actually end up significantly reducing bankers' pay anyway, because it just led to a massive increase in salary. So that itself is not necessarily a really great thing for bankers. The cut in the top rate of tax, I worked in the city. It's not for the geniuses, but I think the smarter people there realise that if the cost of cutting taxes on the rich is the destabilisation of the entire economy, that's probably not good for you even as a rich person, right? So I think they sort of the rich have done very, very well in the last 10, 15 years, and especially the last 3 years. If you're willing to destabilise the entire economy of the country that you live in order to get, 50 grand extra a year, it's not wise, is it? It's better. Stability, which guarantees you wealth, is better than destroying the place that you live.
So